Hey everybody, welcome back to the Utopia podcast. It's been a while. The first information is out on NCAA Football 11. Before we get into the news, I'm Chris, and alongside me is Tommy. Tommy, how are you, buddy?
Doing pretty good. It's been a long time to talk to the folks, long time to talk to you for that matter.
We got plenty to talk about today, so I hope you're ready. First off, the first blog, technically now maybe two blogs, if you want to call it that, are out for NCAA Football 11. If you want to check them out, head over to their official site at ncaafootball.easports.com. And a quick reminder to let people know about this upcoming Wednesday, March 10th at 4 p.m. Eastern, there will be a live chat with developers Ben Haumiller and Russ Canary. They'll talk about the new additions that we know about for NCAA Football 11. We don't know all of them. They've thrown out a few items, and we'll talk about that through the course of today's podcast. The first screenshot for the game is out. If you haven't seen it, features Clemson and South Carolina, and it shows off some of the new features and additions to the game. We also now have a release date confirmed of July 13th, and we know the game will be out for PS3, the Xbox 360, and PlayStation 2. Finally, the demo will be out in June. No word yet on what teams are in it. Very early for that, but know that, like been the last couple of years, expected about 1 month probably or a few weeks before the release of the game. Tommy, let's get right into the big news. We know some of the features in the game. This is not a final list. It's not even all of the big items. It's just the first starting point for throwing out information. Let's go through them. First one, the big item. When it came to our community wish list tournament, Tommy, that you helped put together based on an idea by Administrator Joe Bob on the site, formation subs. It was an item that made the Final Four. Talk about this finally being added to the franchise on Next Gen.
It's definitely a big one that the community's kind of been scrounging around for the past 2 years at least. It was in last gen, and now they're finally bringing it over to the current gen. It's a pretty nice feature, especially if you have a large team and you want to get your younger guys onto the field. If you want to put certain guys on special teams, you can do that. If you want to put your speed back in certain formations, you can do that. If you want to put your guy with the best hands in the slot position on certain formations, you can do that. It's pretty cool. It allows you to kind of customize your team, like who plays where and at what time. That way you can kind of get as many people involved as you want.
And this is something they've come out and said can be a little different than the way Madden uses it in their franchise. You can access the formation subs kind of like you did on last gen, go into the start menu and change it. And they'll also be in the front end of your dynasty. You can go into your dynasty mode, maybe between weeks when you're done recruiting, go in there, set up your formation subs. You won't have to adjust it for each game. You can do it on the front end, which is a great addition. Another item coming into the game, this one was pretty expected, the 9-man gang tackles via the Pro Tech system that Madden had last year. Ben and Russ have talked about how this has been refined, tweaked, and improved. This was an item that made it to the round of 32, so pretty highly requested feature again as well. The next one, another item that made it to the round of 32, new player equipment. And just this afternoon, the blog came out that broke down what this new equipment was. Real quickly, the new Revolution Speed helmet, a few new face masks, some injury gear, knee, ankle, elbow braces, an elbow guard, sleeve lengths, 3/4 length sleeve, a half sleeve, towels, hand warmers, and the ability to set left and right sleeves separate along with different colors. Tommy, you and I talked about this before the show. By itself, new equipment doesn't sound like a huge feature, but if you're a guy who goes in and edits rosters in any way, shape, or form, this ends up being a pretty big addition.
It's kind of nice for those guys that love to model their players exactly off of their counterpart. That way, if you're used to seeing a guy play on Saturdays and have one color sleeve on one arm and another color the other arm, you can go out there and actually adjust that. You can give him his knee brace, and if he injures his elbow tomorrow, you can give him that elbow brace.
Also an item from Madden 10 coming over to NCAA Football 11, on-field referees, and they'll also have advanced avoidance logic. Tell me, what did you think about this addition after having played Madden and seeing refs on the field?
I didn't play Madden a whole lot, so I can't comment greatly on it, but it's just kind of a nice little touch to give us a little bit more realism. Never been a huge guy that I just have to have referees on the field, but I do like that if they're adding them, that they will avoid the players that are on the field. That way, you don't have like the real life counterpart where the South Carolina player got tackled by the referee. So,
and one thing I noticed in the first blog that I talked about this is they mentioned how they will do realistic things like spotting the ball. So reading between the lines, is it possible that now this will improve the way the game plays when it comes to no huddle in terms of the actual time going on and off the clock?
Oh yeah, we would assume so, because as it is right now, it's kind of almost not, I wouldn't call it random, but basically the time that it takes to spot the ball, they spot it very quickly, whereas a referee may have to chase the ball down. He may have to get a new ball thrown into him or something like that. So hopefully referees on the field, that this will just kind of improve that realm.
Another item this is what made the tournament. Dynamic conference logos, meaning if you use the custom conference feature or if you accept a conference invite, your logo on your field will change from, let's say if you're Oklahoma State and you move to the SEC, your Big 12 logo will be gone on the field. It will change to an SEC logo. And the coolest part of this, to me, is that the colors will change. The SEC logo will then be orange and white to reflect the orange for Oklahoma State's team colors. Another item, this is kind of a big one, especially for Alabama fans, numbers on the helmet during gameplay. This is one that was pretty requested a lot by Alabama fans, Army fans, and those who use team builder squads with numbers on helmets. If you don't know what this means, last year during the actual gameplay, the numbers would not appear on the sides of the helmet. They would show up during replays. So now, if you're an Alabama fan, you're going to have numbers on the helmets during gameplay. Small addition, but if you're a fan of Alabama Army or use it for your team builder squad, you've wanted this pretty badly, and it's going to be in NCAA Football 11. A new feature that they announced late in the week, the addition of some new mascots. It may sound silly and trivial at first, but if you're a smaller school, you want anything you can that's team-specific for your team to be added in. The first new confirmed mascot is Oregon's Donald Duck mascot. Due to some licensing issues, it came out the same day that word broke that it would be in the game. EA Sports will announce one per week over the next few weeks. Let's get to see the final four features here, Tommy, on the list. First being autosave.
Autosave, it's something that's not really been talked about very much throughout the community, but it's one of those things that nobody ever thinks about, but now that they mention it, it's like, why didn't we ever have that before? Basically, if you go in and play a Dynasty game, after you finish the game and come back to the menu, it'll automatically start saving not only your Dynasty for you, but also your profile. That way you don't always have to go in there and save it. You don't have to go in there and remember to save your profile after you just won this bowl game so you can keep the trophy. The nice part is not only can you do that, but you can also turn it off. So if you don't want to automatically save your Dynasty, you can just simply turn it off so that you have to go in there and manually save it from week to week.
Another new addition, auto-loading of rosters, a big one. A lot of times if you go online and back out to the main menu and try to go play an offline game, your rosters would be gone. The game will now auto-load your rosters each time. A single-week bowl system. This is a pretty big addition. Tommy, talk about how big this is for online dynasties.
Yeah, it's really huge for online dynasties. I mean, as it is right now, you have 3 to 4 weeks that you have to wait. There's potential that one guy could be playing in each of those weeks. So you have to wait. If you're playing in the national championship game, you may have to wait for 3 previous bowl weeks to be advanced past in order just to play your game, whereas now everybody can go in there and play their bowl game at the same time. It's really nice because as it is right now, it slows things down and it can come to a crawl. But now everybody can go in there and play their game, and you might even be able to advance the same night that you started the bowl week.
The last known feature that we know about for NCAA Football 11, and again, this is not all the features, not even what they're saying the big features are. These are just some of the features. They've thrown us a few crumbs. Player self-shadowing. This is something that was in the screenshot. They've never come out and directly confirmed this, but if you played the game 08, 09, 10, and look at the screenshot of 11, you can tell it's a new feature. It's a visual addition. Basically means that now players can cast their own shadow on themselves. In the screenshot they've given us of the Clemson player, you can see the shadow of his left leg is on his right leg. That's why it's so difficult to see the new addition of that ankle brace on his right leg. At the official NCAA Football website, there's a small little teaser video that pops up. It does not show any gameplay or footage. It simply shows team helmets, logos, and mascots. But it ends with the tagline, 120 ways to win. 120 referring to 120 football bowl subdivision teams. But is there another meaning to it? Is this alluding to some new feature, some new addition coming to the game? Tommy, quickly, what's your guess on what this is?
Well, there's been a lot of ideas thrown out there by different people. Honestly, my guess is just a random guess, just as much as anybody else's. But basically just kind of comes down to more details about teams, maybe a little bit of predetermined strategy for each team. So like they might have game planning tuned for each team, and then you can adjust it based on how you want it to play. But automatically, if you're playing as a Baylor, well, you automatically have Baylor's game planning tuned for you before you start the game. Again, nobody really knows, but it's just it's fun to guess.
Yeah, that's my guess as well, that there's something that will make each team a little unique, a little individual, whether that's on field with the game planning, play calling, playbooks, or maybe it means they've worked on the details like the mascots we talked about, more equipment to personalize your players, and maybe it leads to some bigger like team entrances or something like that. Like you said, all a guess. We don't know, but I'm sure we'll find out in the coming weeks and months to go. And with that segues greatly. Tommy, our tradition is back. As of March 7th, how many days away are we from the release of NCAA Football 11?
As of March 7th, 2010, we have 128 days until July 13th. That's when the game is scheduled to be coming out.
So for Tommy, this has been Chris. Everyone, check us out at ncaaStrategies.com. We'll keep you updated with all of the latest news on NCAA Football 11. Guys, thanks for listening. We'll check you out on the next edition of the Utopia podcast.